Answering question 21 from the GCE past paper that was written in August 2024 from Mathematics Paper 1. Question 21 reads, write the four inequalities that define the unshaded region R on the diagram below. So we need to write the four inequalities that define the unshaded region R. The unshaded region R is in here. We are going to begin with writing the simplest inequations that we can find on this diagram. These will be vertical lines and horizontal lines. The vertical line is, all vertical lines are written or given in this form, where k is a constant. And horizontal lines, like this one, is written in the form y is equal to k, where k is a constant. So we begin by looking at this vertical line. All the points that will be on this vertical line, will have an x-coordinate of 6. All the points that will be on this vertical line will have an x-coordinate which is equal to 6. So therefore this boundary line is x is equal to 6. But the question wants us to define the unshaded region, to write an inequality that would define the unshaded region. So when you look at this boundary line, the area that is to our left of it is the unshaded region, and that one will be all x that are less than 6. So all the values of x that are less than 6 will satisfy this inequality, and that is where the unshaded region lies. I'm using less than because this is a dotted line. We're going to move to the horizontal line. So all the points that lie on this horizontal line will have a y-coordinate of 1. Therefore, y is equal to 1 is the equation of this line, this boundary line. But we have to think about the unshaded region. The unshaded region is above this horizontal line, and all the points that you're going to pick will satisfy this inequation, which is y is greater than 1. So all the coordinates, the y coordinates of the points that you pick above this line will be greater than 1. Now let's look at the lines that are sloping. In fact, I need to put greater than or equal to, because this line is a solid line, it's not a dotted line. So the inequality should be greater than or equal to 1. Let's look at the lines that are sloping. The lines that are sloping. I will begin with defining or writing the equation of the line that passes through this origin and 6,6. This line that passes through the origin and 6,6. I'm going to use the gradient point formula to find the equation of that line. So the gradient point form needs one point and a gradient. We can use 0, 0 as one of the points that we'll use, but we don't know what m is. M is a gradient. M is found by finding the change in y over the change in x. I'm going to use the formula for change in y over change in x. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. This formula requires that we have 2 points on the line in order for us to find the gradient. So the other point that I'm going to use to find the gradient will be 6,6. I will assign x sub 1, y sub 1 to the first point, and x sub 2, y sub 2 to the second point. So y sub 2 is 6, x sub 2 is also 6, minus y sub 1 is 0, x sub 1 is 0. 6 minus 0 is 6, 6 minus 0 is 6. My gradient is 1. Now, using the gradient point formula, I'm going to use 0, 0 and this gradient. I'll substitute in the formula. When I substitute in the formula, this line, the boundary line, will be y is equal to x. Y is equal to x. Now what is required is the inequality that is defining the unshaded region. So this region below this line, which is y, is equal to x. So imagine this is a human being moving up this slope. So this human being is moving up this slope. So there is a simple rule. Heaven, I'll show you a simple rule. We have heaven and earth. Heaven is above and earth is below. So this human being, when they look up, they are looking up to heaven. When they look down, they are looking down on earth. And when they look down, that is where the unshaded region is. So if you are looking down or below, you're going to assign your inequality less than or equal to if the line is solid. If you're looking up or above, you're going to assign your inequality greater than or equal to, because we know that heaven is greater, what's in heaven is greater than what's on earth. What's on earth is less than what's. So we use that analogy to say that, all right, the unshaded region is below. So we assign this less than symbol because the unshaded region is below the line. Let's look at the last inequation. The last inequation, we're going to use a different slide. Again, we're going to use the gradient point form formula to find the equation of the boundary line. So we have that point and that point. So when you look at this point here, this point is where the line cuts the y-axis. The line cuts the y-axis, so that point is of the form 0, y. So when you come to this point, the x-coordinate is 0 and the y-coordinate is 3. So that point is 0, 3. This point cuts the line cuts the x-axis at this point, so it's of the form x, 0. So we say this is the x-intercept. This guy here was the y-intercept. So x there is 6, and we know that at that point where the line cuts the x-axis, the coordinate of y is 0. So we use these 2 points. What we don't have is the gradient of the slope of this line. So remember, you use this formula for finding the gradient. I'm assigning these as my sub 1s and these as my sub 2s. So this is x sub 2 and this is y sub 2. So that will be 0. This will be 6. That will be 3 minus 3. This x will be 0. My gradient will be negative 3 over 6, but when I simplify or reduce it to its lowest term, we're going to have a negative half. So I'm going to substitute this guy in there and this guy in there, but this might be a very, very tedious process. So I'm going to spare you. I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use the standard form of a linear equation because I'm taking advantage of the fact that I know what the y-intercept is. That C represents the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? The y-coordinate at that point. So C is 3, and I know what my gradient for that line is. It is half. So I'll simply substitute these values in that standard form, and that is the equation of my boundary line. Now I'm going to use the same concept that I used before. This is my human being moving up this slope. Heaven is above that human being and earth is below the human being. Now, which place is the unshaded region? It is above the line. So we are saying heaven is above, or heaven is greater than what is below. So, we're going to change this inequality to a greater than symbol. Are we going to use greater than? We're also going, because it's a solid line, we need to put greater than or equal to. So that is the short method that I wanted to show you. That is my inequality. Now, what are the other inequalities? So we are saying y is greater than or equal to negative half x plus 3. So this completes all 3 inequalities. All 4 inequalities.